this video finds you well. I have my computer here with all of the books that I read, and I rated them directly after I read them. So if you see me looking down, I just want to say that it was a very weird month for me. I just kind of felt like I didn't love a lot of the books I read, and then towards the end of the month, that feeling kind of put me into a reading slump. So I'm gonna be very honest about the books I read this month, and so I'm gonna share those with you. I got my books, I got my computer, I got my drink. So let's talk about some books. First book that I started off with this month was Play by the Rules. I talked about this book when I picked it up. I talked about this in a book haul, and this is like an academic romance kind of vibe. This was about Fallon and Theodore. They were like childhood best friends, and then just one day Theodore started to hate Fallon and terrorize her. They ended up going to the same university, and Theodore just kind of made her life hell and just kind of gave her a bunch of rules to follow about like dating and hooking up with people and stuff like that. I thought that the like premise of this book was really good. Like, it was a really good idea. I just felt like the author didn't quite capture her idea very well. When you finish this book, you're kind of like, okay, what was the point of the rules and stuff like that? Theodore wanted Fallon all to himself, which was okay, like we get that. But the rules, like, they just kind of like started to not make sense, and I just felt like the way this book was written, like, it could have been so much better, and it would have been such a great book. This was a good book. I think that this is the author's first novel, because there was a lot of like typos in this book, and just little things like that that kind of like will capture your attention and throw you off. It wasn't terrible. I gave this one 4 stars right after I read it. If the writing was a little bit better, this could have been a really, really, really great book. If the author's thoughts were a little bit more like calculated, I feel like this would have been a really good book. It was still good. It was honestly a quick read. I think I read this in like 1 or 2 days. So I don't know, I gave it 4 stars. Alright, the next book I read was Spare by Prince Harry. I have a lot to say about this book. I wanted to read this book from the time that I figured out that it came out, and I don't really know a lot about the royal family and stuff like that, and I am a Meghan Markle stan. We do not tolerate Meghan Markle slander around here. I will say, if you are looking for a book that talks a lot about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's relationship, this is not the book for you. This book spent a lot of time talking about Prince Harry's time in the army, and a lot of time that he spent in Africa. I guess Africa was Prince Harry's place to go to kind of like decompress. He would just like hop on a plane and go to Africa for a few months, which is like, I guess that's the kind of things you do when you're rich. And he like took a lot of his girlfriends there. This book mother was obviously like the nurturer, the like kisser and the hugger and the rule breaker. And his father was not. His father was very much like attention whore, like I want good press, blah 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 blah. And it's so sad to like read that and see like, oh, you know, these high, you know, elite people, lots of money, you know, they can go anywhere they want in the world, like they're protected, nothing can happen to them, you know, which is great, like that's sure, but like the one thing in life that they're missing is love. And I really feel like that is why Prince Harry fell in love with Meghan Markle, because she just kept it real and didn't want to like be somebody that she wasn't. I think she didn't even like really know who Prince Harry was like when they met, which I kind of like, I definitely would believe it, because like I didn't really know who Prince Harry was. Like I just thought that this was like a really beautiful book that talks about all kind of things that you want to know. Like it talks a lot about, a huge portion of this book, like I said, was like Prince Harry's like time in the army, and just like what the paparazzi and the tabloids like did to him. Granted, a lot of like his bad press was like brought upon himself because he was doing some stupid shit, but like just some of the stuff that they would like print, you know, talking about him, talking about his family. And then when it came down to Meghan, I mean, we all remember like them getting together and just like the nasty things that they were saying about Meghan Markle. And I love that in this book, you know, Prince Harry talks about it a lot, was like making the decision, like, do I want to stay with this family who like doesn't give a crap about me, about my wife, about my children, or do I want to like create my own family full of love and life? And I love that in the end, which is like not a spoiler because we all know, in the end, I love that Prince Harry chose Meghan and their love and their family, and like, what a man, what a man. I know that Meghan Markle like isn't this like damsel in distress, like trust me, I know she can fend for herself, but I just love that he made that decision to choose her and protect her. So I gave that book a 5 out of 5, just because like I feel like biographies for me are a little bit hard to read, because like that is somebody's life story, and whether Prince Harry typed every word himself or not, you know, it wasn't written by somebody with accounts from Prince Harry, like it was Prince Harry. So that's why I tend to rate biographies a from, and I could get into that, like I could dive into that. But when it came to Emma, I just, like, I didn't feel her love, like either guy, and I don't know, like that, and that really bothered me the whole book. Like, there's just like there's so many layers to this book. Like, Emma coming back to like take care of her parents' bookshop, and like, I don't know, something with her character just didn't like register with me. Like, I just didn't feel it, and that made it really hard for me when reading this book, because like obviously I was very much team Sam, like I was not team Jesse. But Emma, girl, like, give me something, give me some emotion, girl. The next book I read was something to talk about, and this is one book that I felt like, well, one of the books that I felt like this month that I loved. This is an LGBTQ plus story. This is about Joe and Emma. Joe is a like TV producer, writer extraordinaire. Emma is her assistant, and you know, they are photographed together on a red carpet, and everybody just starts talking about Joe and Emma and how like Joe is dating her assistant, blah 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 blah. It gets messy, it gets dirty, and either way they end up falling in love. I just thought that this story was cute. This is an age gap situation, and I just like had really never read anything like this book, so it kind of took me by surprise how good it was. I don't know, I just felt like the author did so well. Obviously, like, the author is a lesbian, which we stan, but I don't know, it was good. It was a cute read. I read this on vacation and it was really good. It's a typical romance, like, and yeah, like happy ending situation. Nothing about it was like, you know, extreme. I gave that one 5 stars. The next book I read, I have a bone to pick with this book. This is The Midwife of Auschwitz, and this book pissed me off, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. When I finished reading this book, I told my husband, like, I cannot wait till the end of the month so I can really get into this book and let everybody know how much this book pissed me off. So The Midwife of Auschwitz, you know, Anne is a midwife, and she helps deliver Esther, and they ended up, like, later on down the road, like, running into each other, and this is all before, like, Hitler's reign took over. And then Esther, you know, she meets a guy, and, you know, they fall in love, blah 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 blah, and he's like, a war's coming, like, a war's gonna happen, and Esther's like, no way. And then slowly but surely, like, the war is starting, and starting to hear it like by word of mouth, like, okay, you don't want to go to these concentration camps, like it'll be the end of you. Meanwhile, Anna and her family are like working to like get the Jewish people, you know, paperwork to like say, hey, like I'm not Jewish, like sending them to like Poland and stuff and all these other countries, like trying to help out. In the meanwhile, Anna, her mom, gets picked up to go to Auschwitz, and her mom's old, she's sick, and like she's like, no, like don't take her, blah 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 blah. So they end up picking up Esther and throwing her onto the train. Well, lo and behold, Anna was on the train too, because they picked her up for aiding in, you know, helping the Jewish people. So this story just talks about like being a midwife in Auschwitz, helping, you know, these women give birth, their baby. It's just so freaking sad. Like everything about this book, obviously, like that was such a disgusting time, such a painful time for a lot of people. And when you look back and think about it, like that time wasn't too long ago, you know, like there are still people alive, not, you know, granted not many people, but people who survived, some of them are still alive. So it's like, hello, do the math, like that was not that long ago. The thing about this book that pissed me off was on the cover it says, you know, inspired by a heartbreaking true story, an emotional and gripping World War II historical novel. Okay, you read that and you're like, okay, like, you know, this is the shit, right? So then at the end of the book, in the historical notes, it is like talking about like, you know, things that took place in this book, and it says the lady's name who this is about. It's like a foreign name, obviously. It's very long, very hard to pronounce, and they say that she was the original inspiration for this novel. And listen to me, while The Midwife of Auschwitz does not follow her true stories, many details of her astonishing life inspired key scenes. Okay, so like on the cover you're telling me that this is a true story, and then in the historical notes you're saying like, oh, just kidding, like it's kind of loosely based around her life. And I feel like then you should have been transparent and said that on the cover. Like I don't even think you should have even said anything, because like you're saying this is a heartbreaking true story. So me as the reader, I'm thinking, okay, like what I'm reading is like what happened. Then she should have just said that it was loosely based off a true story, instead of saying a true story. Like maybe I am just like looking into it too much, maybe I'm not reading between the lines, but I felt a little bit duped, or I just like wish she would have at least put that in the beginning of the book, like before she started the story. Then I would have like, okay, like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know like really messed up things happened in Auschwitz, and like around that time like a lot of stuff was going on. But like when you're painting the picture to me, like I spoke to this person, these are her accounts, blah 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 blah, you're misleading people. I gave that book 3 stars, and I mainly docked it off so much was because I didn't like how the author tried to hoodwink me. The next book that I read was The X-Talk, and this was such a predictable book. This was fake dating extravaganza. This was about Shay and Dominic. You know, Shay's older, they work at a radio station, you know, she's been working there for a while, and then in comes Dominic, like the young hot stuff, you know, like can't tell him nothing about nothing, and they need to like save their radio station, and their boss is like, oh, we should do like, we get it, they're gonna be together, they're gonna get married, blah 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 blah. Like, give me some freaking angst or something. Like, the next book I read, I did not like either. I don't know. I think, like, I just need a break. I need to, like, give my brain some time to, like, calm down and, like, experience some missing, because the next book I read was The Color Purple. And if you watched my haul, I was so excited to read this book because I've heard so much about it. I've heard so much about the movie. I've never seen it. Like, I was so excited, and I just did not feel like these characters and I connected, and like, hello, I'm a black girl, I'm black, like, this should be, like, purple should be running in my veins, and I just did not connect to this book. I did not like the way it was written. Like, the story did not make sense to me, because in the end, I was like, okay, this is about two sisters, Sally and Nellie. This is like 20th century rural Georgia. You know, they are separated. Their mother dies. Their stepdads, to get rid of them, like, they are young. They're like teenagers, I think. So, like, come on, do the math. Like, pimping them out. Oh, I was like, I do not know. So Sally ends up going with this guy, and like, in the book they don't tell you his name, they just call him Mr. Blank, like, literally, and that like messed my mind up, because I'm like, okay, what the hell does that mean? Nellie stays with the stepfather, I believe, and then ends up like running off. Sally ends up having 2 kids, and the stepdad, like, this is before she like goes with her like husband or whatever. She ends up having 2 kids by her stepfather, and he like ends up getting rid of them. So once she like gets older, and like she's married, her husband takes her into the city, and like she sees a little girl, and she's like, oh my god, that looks like my daughter, blah 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 blah. It's just like so confusing. Oh my god, it's Nettie, it's not Nellie. I'm so sorry. Anyways, like, Nettie ends up like going to like be some kind of like, not even a maid. She just ends up like meeting this pastor and his wife, and they like take her in, and they go on missions and stuff. So Nettie is like the well-spoken one, and Sally is like the not well-spoken one. Like, the author like makes her talk in like an uneducated way, which is like to set the mood, and I get that, don't get me wrong. I just like did not love this book. I like, when I finished it, like, the story to me just like did not make sense. It's like 2 sisters being separated and finding their way back to each other. Like, that's what the story is about, and I get that, but like, I just like did not like it. So, and that's just me. Like, it's not to say that it's like not a good book, and I am gonna watch the movie to see like if I can like piece together in my brain, but there was just like so much like jumping around and like talking about different things, and like, as you can see, like, this book is like not thick, so like it's just all like compacted in there, and like it like jumbled my brain. Second to last book that I read, The Silent Patient. A lot of you guys recommended this book to me, and I did enjoy it. This book is about Alicia, and Alicia kills her husband, and after she kills him, silent, she never speaks another word. And then in comes Theo. He is a psychotherapist, and he takes it upon himself to be the one, like, he is like, I'm gonna make Alicia talk, because Alicia gets admitted into like a psychiatric like hospital, because after she kills her husband, like, she does not say another word, and they're like, okay, well, we can't send her to jail, like, she's cray. So Theo like takes it very seriously. Like, he wants to be the one to make her talk. Everybody that he works with is like, give it up, like, we've all tried, and he really like tries to get down on her level. She's an artist, she paints, so insane. You're not gonna see it coming, because like as this is happening, Theo is having things happen in his life as well. Like they're telling kind of like both stories, like, and there's just the twist, like the twist in this book, you're not gonna see it coming, let me tell you. It's just so good. It was like one of the few books this month that like I was like, oh my god, I gotta find out, and I love that about a book. So thank you to everyone who recommended this book to me. It was such an amazing book. Last book that I read this month, I love this book, oh my gosh. I read Out of Darkness, and before I get into this book, I think that this book might be my favorite book I've ever read. Out of all of the books I've read so far this year, this is my favorite book. This story was so powerful, and just this book will make you feel like you're there, will take hold of your emotions and shake you to the core. This was written by Ashley Hope Perez, and oh my god, I cannot wait to see what else she has written. So let's get into it. This book is based in the late 1930s here in Texas, and there's so many people that played an amazing role in this book. So we will just kind of start from the beginning. We have our main character, Naomi. She's 18, from San Antonio. She has two younger siblings, Carrie and Beto, and they are her half siblings. Her mother died after giving birth to her siblings, who are twins. So she lives with her grandparents. They're very poor, and the twins' father ends up coming back, which is Naomi's stepfather, and he's like, I want to take the kids to East Texas. He works in the oil field, and he's like, I can provide for them. And so the grandparents are like, okay, but you gotta take Naomi too, like she will help you with them. When they get to East Texas, the kids are going to a white school because Henry is white, and even though their mother is Mexican, they do not look Mexican, they look white. And Naomi, it looks Mexican, but she gets to go to the white high school, and nobody likes her. They think that Mexican people are dirty, but she ends up meeting a boy in the woods named Washington is his name, but James Washington, I believe, but everybody just calls him Wash. Long story short, they end up falling in love, and at the same time, Henry is like, I want to marry Naomi because she's like a homemaker, and he thinks like that's the way it should be. Meanwhile, Naomi's like, no, I don't want to marry him. I love Wash. Henry is racist. He doesn't want his kids hanging out with a black boy. You guys, this story, like me telling you about it, isn't gonna do it justice. You need to read this book. You need to feel the emotions of this book, like just the way that it ends and it's played out. And like, this is not a happy ending kind of book, and I'm just gonna be honest with you right now, but in the end you are happy. There's an explosion that happens in the middle of the book that kind of shakes up the world for them. I'm not gonna tell you too much about that because you need to read this book. You need to get it for yourself. Like, I think like if I ever did a giveaway, like this would be the book that I would give away. You guys need to read the book. That Out of Darkness. 5 out of freaking 5. So that is the end of this video, you guys. This was such a weird month for me, reading wise. Like, y'all know I am the reader, okay? Like, I can put down a book, but I just felt like this month I just could not get through a lot of these books, and I'm kind of re-evaluating for next month. I think like I just want to read things that I'm like passionate about and that like I really love. And a lot of these books I just wasn't give me a recommendation. So I just want to say thank you. It's another week that y'all have been here with me, and I just want to say thank you for joining me. I cannot wait for next month's video. Who knows what we'll read between that time. Anyways, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my